Hi, my name is Karina Ghaffari. It is 8/27/2020, and I will be talking about the short and long reflexes of the enteric nervous system. The enteric nervous system was first recognized more than a century ago. Scientists realized that isolated sections of the intestine removed from the body created a reflex wave of peristaltic contraction when pressure in the lumen increased. What they observed was the ability of the ENS to carry out a reflex independent of control by the central nervous system, which is why they call the enteric nervous system the little brain. It also controls motility, secretion, and growth of the digestive tract. It is hard to study the ENS because enteric reflexes have no concrete command center. ENS shares a lot of its features with the central nervous system, including these five. The first one being intrinsic neurons. Neurons of the two nerve plexuses of the digestive tract are those that lie completely within the wall of the gut, just as interneurons are completely contained within the central nervous system. Autonomic neurons that bring signals from the central nervous system to the digestive system are called extrinsic neurons. Another example would be the neurotransmitters and neuromodulators. So ENS neurons release more than 30 neurotransmitters and neuromodulators, most of which are identical to molecules found in the brain. Among the best-known GI neurotransmitters and neuromodulators are serotonin, vasoactive intestinal peptide, and nitric oxide. Another feature that it shares with the central nervous system is the glial support cells. The glial cells of neurons within the ENS are similar to strata of the brain than to the Schwann cells of the peripheral nervous system. It also shares a diffusion barrier. The capillaries that surround ganglia in the ENS create a diffusion barrier so that it's not, the capillaries that surround the ganglia in the ENS are not very permeable. So this is similar to the blood-brain barrier in the central nervous system. The last one being integrating center. As mentioned before, reflexes that originate in the GI tract can be integrated and acted on without neural cells leaving the ENS. For this reason, the neuron network of ENS is its own integrating center, much like the central nervous system of the brain and the spinal cord. So as I wanted to talk about in this thing was the difference between short and long reflexes of the enteric nervous system. So short reflexes, the enteric nerve plexuses in the gut wall acts as a little brain, as mentioned before, allowing local reflexes to be integrated and ended completely within the GI tract. So reflexes that originate within the enteric nervous system and are integrated there without outside input are called short reflexes. The submucosal plexus contains sensory neurons that receive signals from the lumen of the gut. The ENS network then integrates the sensory information and then initiates a response. The submucosal plexus controls the secretion by GI epithelial cells. So in the figure in the next couple of slides, I'll show you how the short reflexes come about within the GI tract. Next, I'll discuss the long reflexes. So long reflexes, although the ENS can work in isolation, it also sends sensory information to the CNS and receives input from the CNS through the autonomic neurons, which I will show you in the next figure as well. A classic neural reflex begins with a stimulus transmitted along a sensory neuron to the CNS, where the stimulus is integrated and acted on. In the digestive system, some classic reflexes originate with sensory receptors in the GI tract, but others originate outside the digestive system. No matter where they originate, digestive reflexes integrated in the central nervous system are always going to be called long reflexes. Long reflexes that originate outside the digestive system include feed-forward reflexes and emotional reflexes. These reflexes are called cephalic reflexes because they originate in the brain. Feed-forward reflexes begin with stimuli such as sight, smell, sound, or thought of food. And they prepare the digestive system for food that the brain is anticipating. So, for example, if you're hungry and smell dinner cooking, your mouth starts to water or your stomach growls. These are types of examples of this. In long reflexes, the smooth muscle and glands of the GI tract are under autonomic control. In general, we'll say that the parasympathetic division is excitatory and enhances GI functions, leading to its nickname of rest and digest. Most parasympathetic neurons of the GI tract are found in the vagus nerve. Sympathetic neurons usually inhibit GI function, so the opposite of parasympathetic, which makes sense. So in this figure, it is a little blurry on this page, but you can see that with the short reflexes in the middle there, you get an internal GI tract stimuli, and then the receptor of a chemoreceptor, osmoreceptor, or mechanoreceptor, and then local, so then the gut brain, and then it goes to the gut brain, and then the responses is changes in contractile and secretory activity. So this shows that not only does it begin in the GI tract, it's interpreted in the GI tract, and the end response is within the GI tract. And then with the long reflexes, it can be from the GI tract, but it would go to the central nervous system first before coming back down to the GI tract. So it would be interpreted within the CNS. So anytime it is integrated within the CNS, it is going to be called a long reflex. And as you can see, as I talked about the feed-forward reflexes, which come from external stimuli, feed in the left side corner, sight, smell, taste, thought of food, as discussed. These would be examples of this, which come from the outside source, so they don't originate in the GI tract, but they are still considered a long reflex because they are not integrated within the CNS. That would only be if they were short reflexes if it was began in the ENS, interpreted within the ENS, and then a response within the ENS. While long reflexes, you can see, always will go to the central nervous system before. So you can see that by that black arrow going there first. An additional similarity between ENS and CNS are the emotional reflexes and their influence on the GI tract. Illustrate another link between the brain and the digestive system. So GI responses to emotions like traveler's constipation, butterflies in your stomach, not literally, but you understand what I mean, and psychologically induced vomiting and diarrhea. So as you can see, there is a lot of similarities between the ENS and CNS. My references are our book, and that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.